In the shadowy corridors of post-war Germany, a name whispered through police radios and tavern conversations alike, Georg Oswald Heintzelmann. A man as elusive as a ghost, as unpredictable as a storm. They called him the Phantom, not because he wore a mask, but because no one could catch him. From the late 1950s into the early 1970s, a wave of crimes, burglaries, and high-profile escapes swept across West Germany. And in the center of it all stood one man, mysterious, daring, and always one step ahead. A man who broke out of prison not once, but multiple times, who taunted police by leaving behind cryptic messages and walked through the criminal underworld like a shadow no one could grasp. But who was Heintzelmann really? Was he a cunning mastermind or a desperate soul shaped by the ruins of war and the weight of society's rejection? Was he a hero to some, or merely a criminal who knew how to turn his escapes into legend? This is not a story about murder or horror. It's about a man who challenged the system, a system still rebuilding from the ashes of the Third Reich. A man who ran, who disappeared, and who outsmarted everyone, time and time again. And as you listen, remember, every great legend begins with whispers. Whispers in dark cells, in smoky courtrooms, in patrol cars with flashing lights. This is the legend of Georg Oswald Heintzelmann, the Phantom of West Germany. Stay with us as we dive into a true crime story that borders on myth. In the aftermath of World War II, West Germany was a land scarred by defeat and division. Amidst this turmoil, Georg Oswald Heintzelmann emerged, a man shrouded in mystery. Born in 1930 in a small Bavarian town, his early years were marked by hardship and loss. The war had taken his father, leaving Georg to navigate a fractured world on his own. With few opportunities and a restless spirit, Georg drifted into a life on the margins. He learned the art of stealth and deception not out of malice, but necessity. A talented locksmith and a quick thinker, he soon found himself entangled with the underground, a world of black markets, secret deals, and whispered threats. Heintzelmann was no ordinary criminal. His intelligence set him apart. Police files describe him as calm under pressure, resourceful, and daring. He was able to pick locks that others couldn't, plan escapes that defied logic, and vanish without a trace. Friends and foes alike spoke of his uncanny ability to slip through the tightest grips. But who was the man behind the shadow? What drove him to challenge the law again and again? Some say it was revenge, a vendetta against a society that had abandoned him. Others believed he simply craved freedom, the kind that no prison bars could contain. Georg's criminal record began with petty theft, but quickly escalated. His first arrest came in 1957, and from there, his legend grew. Each time he was caught, the press dubbed him the Phantom, a ghost who haunted West Germany's police forces. Yet beyond the headlines and sensational stories, few understood the complexity of the man himself. He was not just a thief or a fugitive. He was a symbol of resistance to a country struggling to rebuild. A man whose actions forced authorities to question their own systems and methods.
By the late 1950s, Georg had become a known name in the police files, but still a ghost to most citizens. His first crimes were small, stealing radios, cash from unattended shops, and slipping away before anyone noticed. But his talent lay not in violence, but in finesse. His first major arrest occurred in 1957 after a daring burglary at a high-end jeweler's shop in Munich. Despite leaving behind few clues, he was caught because of a careless mistake, a single fingerprint on a broken glass. Yet even then, the man remained calm, his mind already plotting his next move. His trial was brief, but his sentence severe. 5 years in prison. However, Georg did not intend to serve his full term. Within a year, he executed his first prison escape. Using his locksmith skills, he picked his way through cell doors, navigated the shadows of the penitentiary, and slipped through a small, neglected window. It was the start of a pattern that would frustrate police for years. His escapes were more than acts of desperation, they were statements. Georg wanted the world to see that he was not a man who could be caged or controlled. Every breakout made headlines. Newspapers called him the Phantom, a name that stuck, haunting the corridors of police stations. But behind the fame was a man who seemed to relish the challenge. He toyed with law enforcement, sometimes leaving cryptic notes at crime scenes, daring them to catch him again. As his list of crimes grew, robberies, safe-cracking, and multiple breakouts, so did his legend. To the public, he was part villain, part folk hero. Some admired his daring, others feared his unpredictability. Yet, despite his growing notoriety, Georg remained elusive. His knowledge of the city, the underground, and human nature allowed him to blend in, disappear, and reappear at will. This was a man who understood that freedom was the ultimate prize, and no bars, no matter how strong, could hold him forever. Throughout the 1960s, Georg Oswald Heintzelmann became infamous for his multiple prison escapes. His name was whispered among inmates and officers alike. How could one man break out repeatedly from some of the most secure facilities? One of the most daring was in 1963 at the Stuttgart Penitentiary. Georg had spent months observing guards' routines, identifying weaknesses. Using tools fashioned from everyday items, he unlocked gates, slipped past patrols, and disappeared into the night. The prison was put on high alert, but Heintzelmann was gone, vanished like a shadow. Another escape followed 2 years later from a transport convoy. Bound and shackled, Georg managed to loosen his restraints and leap from a moving vehicle into a forest. Police scoured the area, but he had already melted into the darkness. His escapes became a source of embarrassment for West Germany's justice system. Newspapers ridiculed officials and celebrated the phantom who could outwit them all. Behind the headlines, however, was a man pushing against more than bars. Georg was fighting a system struggling to find order after chaos. He was a symbol of defiance, of a restless spirit refusing to be tamed. Yet with each breakout, the stakes grew higher. Police increased their efforts. Special task forces were formed. Georg's freedom was slipping away with each attempt. But the Phantom was never just running. He was playing a game, one of mind and willpower, always one step ahead. Despite his criminal activities, Georg Oswald Heintzelmann lived by a strict personal code. He avoided violence, never harmed innocents, and refused to engage in senseless brutality. To many, this code made him less villain, more enigmatic figure. He respected loyalty and honor among his small circle of associates. Those who crossed him found no mercy, but those who followed him were protected fiercely. Heintzelmann's escapades were often strategic, targeting corrupt officials or wealthy elites. Some believed he was a modern-day Robin Hood, stealing from the powerful and mocking the system. His actions sparked debate. Was he a rebel, a criminal, or a flawed hero? Newspapers and citizens alike debated, but Georg remained indifferent to public opinion. Behind closed doors, he was calculating and cautious. He communicated with a network of contacts who supplied him with information and resources. His moves were deliberate, carefully planned. Georg Heintzelmann's respect for his own limits kept him from reckless behavior. He understood the dangers, yet he embraced the risk for the sake of freedom and purpose. This was a man who lived in shadows, but followed a light only he could see. By the late 1960s, West German authorities had launched their most extensive manhunt for Georg Oswald Heintzelmann. Special police units coordinated with regional forces, rewards were posted, surveillance expanded. Yet the Phantom remained elusive. Despite the growing pressure, Georg continued to evade capture. His knowledge of terrain, people, and the law made him nearly invisible. His presence was felt more than seen, a shadow passing through towns, a whisper on the wind. Stories grew, mixing fact with legend. The public was captivated. Some cheered for the daring fugitive, others feared his unpredictable nature. Authorities grew frustrated and desperate. They implemented stricter prison protocols, increased patrols, and used emerging forensic techniques to track him. Yet Heintzelmann adapted. He changed appearance, moved frequently, and avoided patterns. The game between hunter and hunted evolved into a prolonged saga. This was no longer just a criminal case. It had become a national obsession. With each new escape and elusive appearance, the legend of Georg Oswald Heintzelmann grew. He was no longer just a man. He became a symbol, a myth woven into the fabric of West Germany's post-war history. Songs, stories, and rumors circulated in pubs and back alleys. Some claimed he had friends in high places. Others whispered he was untouchable due to secret alliances. The Phantom was a mirror reflecting society's own struggles between order and chaos, freedom and control. Even after years of pursuit, Georg's name carried a magnetic pull. Some saw in him the rebellious spirit of youth, others a reminder of the shadows lurking beneath a recovering nation. Authorities eventually labeled him public enemy number one, but for the public, he remained a mysterious figure, part menace, part hero. His story blurred lines between fact and fiction, between man and legend. The Phantom's dance with the law was a story told and retold, a testament to a time when Germany grappled with its past and uncertain future.
In the early 1970s, after more than a decade of cat and mouse, Georg Oswald Heintzelmann's run finally ended. In a quiet suburb of Frankfurt, police managed to trap him in a carefully planned operation. The capture shocked many. The man who had once been untouchable was finally in custody. Yet even then, Georg showed no fear. His calm demeanor suggested a man at peace with his fate. But the story did not end there. Some whispered that the government wanted to silence him. Others believed Heintzelmann had secrets that would never be revealed. His trial was a spectacle, the media coverage intense, public opinion divided. Was he a criminal mastermind or a symbol of rebellion? After conviction, Georg disappeared from public view. Some say he served his sentence quietly, others that he escaped once more. His true motives, thoughts, and fate remain shrouded in mystery, like the man himself. The Phantom of West Germany had become a legend that no prison could hold.
Decades later, the legend of Georg Oswald Heintzelmann endures. He is remembered not just for crimes or escapes, but for what he represented, a spirit unbroken by hardship and confinement. His story challenges us to think about justice, freedom, and the thin line between heroism and villainy. Was Georg a product of his time, a man shaped by war, loss, and a fractured society? Or was he something more, a symbol of resistance, a myth crafted by the collective imagination? Today, historians and true crime enthusiasts debate his legacy. Some view him as a criminal to be condemned, others as an anti-hero to be admired. What remains clear is that Georg Oswald Heintzelmann, the Phantom of West Germany, left a mark that time cannot erase. As we close this chapter, remember, legends are born in shadows, but they live forever in stories. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Subscribe to The Lost Chapters. Here, those who are silent in books come to life. See you in the next investigation.